It is better to conquer our grief than to deceive it. Seneca, the map of control isn't just about physical territory. It's a map of the mind. Understanding how people think, how they react, and what motivates them is the key to influencing their actions. Power isn't brute force. It's the ability to shape the playing field to your advantage, to make your desired outcome the most logical, or even the only choice. This requires a deep understanding of human psychology, a calculated assessment of their needs, fears, and desires. Consider the chess player. They don't just move pieces randomly. They anticipate their opponent's moves, not just one or two steps ahead, but several, constructing a web of possibilities and forcing their opponent into predictable responses. This is control, not by dictating every move, but by limiting the available options, by creating a situation where only the desired outcome is viable. This is achieved through psychological leverage, understanding your opponent's tendencies, their strengths and weaknesses, and exploiting those vulnerabilities to guide them toward a predetermined end. The art of control involves recognizing the inherent biases in human decision-making. People tend to favor the familiar, the comfortable, even when it's not the most advantageous path. This inertia can be a powerful tool. By subtly shaping the environment, by presenting a carefully curated narrative, you can steer people towards a specific course of action without ever explicitly commanding them. This is the power of framing, of presenting information in a way that reinforces a particular viewpoint, that subtly manipulates their perception of reality. Furthermore, people are driven by emotion, far more than they often realize. Fear, greed, ambition, and loyalty can all be potent motivators. Understanding these emotional drivers is crucial to influencing behavior. Fear can be used to create a sense of urgency, to push people towards taking immediate action. Greed can be leveraged to entice them with the promise of reward. Ambition can be channeled to motivate them to strive for a specific goal. And loyalty can be cultivated to build a strong foundation of support. The key is to understand which emotion is most relevant in a given situation and to use it strategically. The illusion of choice is another powerful tool in the arsenal of control. People want to feel like they are in control of their own destiny, that they are making independent decisions. However, it's possible to create a situation where the choices presented are all favorable to you, regardless of which one they select. This is achieved by carefully curating the options, by making certain outcomes more appealing or less risky than others. By framing the choices in a specific way, you can subtly guide people towards the outcome you desire while still allowing them to feel like they are making their own free will decision. But control isn't just about manipulating others. It's also about controlling yourself. Mastering your own emotions, overcoming your own biases, and maintaining a clear and objective perspective are essential for strategic decision-making. If you are swayed by fear or blinded by ambition, you are vulnerable to manipulation yourself. The ability to remain calm and collected under pressure, to assess the situation rationally, and to make calculated decisions based on logic rather than emotion is the hallmark of a true strategist. The map of control is a dynamic landscape, constantly shifting and evolving. People's motivations change, circumstances alter, and new challenges arise. The key to maintaining control is to be adaptable, to be able to adjust your strategy as needed, and to anticipate potential threats. This requires constant vigilance, a willingness to learn and adapt, and a relentless pursuit of knowledge. The more you understand the world around you, the better equipped you are to shape it to your advantage. This continuous process of learning, adapting, and strategizing is the essence of long-term control, the foundation upon which lasting influence is built. The psychology of control is understanding yourself and your opponent, mastering emotions and shaping choices to achieve the desired outcome. It is not about brute force but strategic thinking, calculated moves, and the manipulation of the mind. Consider the rise of a powerful tech company. Initially, it offered a revolutionary service, a convenient tool that streamlined a common task. People eagerly adopted it, drawn by its efficiency and user-friendly design. Over time, the company expanded its offerings, subtly integrating its services into various aspects of people's lives. It wasn't just a tool anymore. It became a platform, a central hub for communication, commerce, and information. The convenience it offered was undeniable, and users became increasingly reliant on it. This reliance, however, was not accidental. It was the result of a carefully crafted strategy, a long game designed to establish control. By making its services indispensable, the company gradually gained influence over its users' behavior, their choices, and even their perceptions. This wasn't achieved through overt coercion or forceful mandates. Instead, it was accomplished through subtle nudges, personalized recommendations, and the careful curation of information. The company understood that people value convenience and personalization. By providing both, it could shape their preferences and subtly guide their decisions. The algorithms that powered the platform were designed to learn from user behavior, to identify patterns and preferences, and to tailor the experience accordingly. This created a feedback loop, where users were constantly exposed to content and products that aligned with their existing interests, reinforcing their biases and limiting their exposure to alternative perspectives. The company also understood the power of social influence. By creating a platform where people could connect and share information, it facilitated the spread of ideas and trends. It also created an environment where conformity was rewarded and dissent was discouraged. Users were incentivized to align their views with the prevailing sentiment, to avoid being ostracized or marginalized. This created a subtle form of social control, where people's opinions were shaped by the opinions of others. Furthermore, the company accumulated vast amounts of data about its users, their habits, their preferences, and their relationships. This data was not just used to personalize the user experience. It was also used to understand and predict user behavior. By analyzing this data, the company could identify potential vulnerabilities and exploit them to its advantage. It could target users with personalized advertising, tailor political messaging, or even manipulate their emotions. The company's actions were often justified in the name of innovation and progress. It argued that it was simply providing users with the services they wanted, that it was making their lives easier and more convenient. However, the true extent of its influence was often hidden, obscured by complex algorithms and legal jargon. Users were often unaware of how their data was being used, how their behavior was being shaped, or how their choices were being influenced. The company's control was subtle and pervasive, woven into the fabric of everyday life. It was a form of control that was difficult to detect and even more difficult to resist. This example demonstrates the power of strategic thinking and long-term planning in achieving control. It illustrates how a company can use convenience, personalization, and social influence to shape user behavior and achieve its objectives. It also highlights the importance of understanding human psychology and the vulnerabilities that can be exploited to gain control. The lesson is clear. To resist manipulation, you must be aware of the tactics used and the motivations behind them. You must also cultivate critical thinking skills, question assumptions, and be willing to challenge the status quo. The weak, blinded by immediate gratification, often stumble into traps laid with patience and foresight. They see the bait, a promise of ease or pleasure, without considering the hook concealed beneath. Their focus is narrow, fixed on the reward, neglecting the broader landscape and the potential consequences. This short-sightedness is a vulnerability, a blind spot that allows others to guide them, to herd them towards a predetermined destination. Think of the free trial offer, the enticing discount, the viral trend, each a carefully crafted lure designed to capture attention and ultimately control behavior. The initial benefit, often minimal, masks the long-term cost, the gradual erosion of autonomy, the subtle shift in power dynamics. The trap is sprung not with a sudden, jarring event, but with a series of small, almost imperceptible steps, each leading further into the web. This is the art of manipulation, the science of exploiting human desires and weaknesses. The master strategist understands that the easiest way to control someone is to make them believe they are acting freely, that they are making their own choices. This illusion of control is the most potent weapon in the arsenal, the key to unlocking compliance and preventing resistance. The weak, eager to believe in their own agency, readily accept this illusion, failing to recognize the subtle forces shaping their decisions. They are passengers in their own lives, drifting along a current they do not understand, unaware of the destination to which they are being carried. The trap is not always malicious. Sometimes it is simply the result of negligence, of a failure to consider the long-term implications of one's actions. Accepting a loan without understanding the terms, agreeing to a contract without reading the fine print, trusting authority without questioning its motives. These are all forms of self-imposed imprisonment, chains forged from ignorance and complacency. The key to avoiding the trap is to cultivate awareness, to develop a sense of skepticism, to question everything. Do not accept things at face value. Look beneath the surface. Consider the motivations of those who offer assistance, the potential consequences of every decision. Think in terms of systems, not just individual events. Understand how seemingly isolated actions can have ripple effects, creating patterns of influence and control. The ability to see the trap before it is sprung is the hallmark of the strategic mind, the key to navigating the complex landscape of power and influence. It requires a willingness to challenge assumptions, to question authority, and to think critically about the world around you. It demands a commitment to understanding the long game, to recognizing that short-term gains often come at the expense of long-term freedom. It necessitates a recognition that control is not always overt, that it can be subtle, insidious, and woven into the fabric of everyday life. Only by developing this awareness can you hope to avoid the traps that are constantly being laid, to maintain your autonomy, and to chart your own course through the world. The failure to do so is a surrender, a tacit acceptance of manipulation, a descent into the ranks of the controlled. The Machiavellian approach takes this understanding a step further. It's not enough simply to avoid being controlled. The strategic mind actively seeks to exert control over its environment. This is not about brute force or overt domination. True control comes from understanding the levers of influence, the hidden mechanisms that shape behavior. It's about anticipating the moves of others, manipulating their perceptions, and guiding them towards outcomes that serve your interests, all while maintaining the illusion of free will. Consider the chess master, not just defending against attacks, but actively shaping the board, setting traps, and forcing the opponent into predictable patterns. This is the essence of strategic control, to orchestrate events in such a way that others believe they are acting according to their own desires, when in reality, they are merely pawns in a larger game. This requires a deep understanding of human psychology, the ability to exploit weaknesses, and the patience to wait for the opportune moment. It demands a willingness to act decisively, even ruthlessly, when necessary, but always with a clear understanding of the long-term consequences. The Machiavellian strategy is not about seeking power for its own sake, but about using power to achieve specific goals, to create a desired outcome, to shape the world according to your vision. It's a philosophy of calculated action, of understanding that every decision, every interaction, is a move in a larger game. The successful strategist sees the world as a network of interconnected systems, each influencing the other, and understands that by manipulating one element, you can influence the entire system. This requires a detachment from emotion, a willingness to view people as instruments, and a commitment to achieving your objectives, regardless of the cost. It's a mindset that embraces pragmatism, rejects sentimentality, and prioritizes results above all else. To truly master the art of control, you must become a student of human nature, a keen observer of behavior, and a master of manipulation. You must learn to read people, to anticipate their reactions, and to exploit their vulnerabilities. You must be willing to lie, to deceive, and to betray, but only when necessary to achieve your objectives. And above all, you must be patient, disciplined, and relentless in your pursuit of control. The world is a chessboard, and the players are constantly vying for position. The Machiavellian approach is simply a set of tools for navigating this complex landscape, for understanding the rules of the game, and for ultimately achieving victory. But it's a dangerous path, one that can lead to isolation, paranoia, and ultimately, self-destruction. The key is to use these tools wisely, to understand their limitations, and to never lose sight of your ultimate goals. For true control is not about dominating others, but about mastering yourself, about understanding your own motivations, and about using your power to create a better world, even if that means playing the game by your own rules. This is the paradox of the Machiavellian strategy, that to achieve true control, you must first master yourself. History is littered with empires built on the principles of control, each a testament to the enduring appeal of strategic dominance. Consider the Roman Empire, a civilization that rose to power through a combination of military might, political acumen, and a ruthless pursuit of expansion. Their legions were not merely armies, they were instruments of control, used to subdue conquered territories and enforce Roman law. The Roman Senate, a body of shrewd and ambitious politicians, understood the importance of strategic alliances, calculated betrayals, and the manipulation of public opinion. They built roads and aqueducts not just for the benefit of the people, but to facilitate the movement of troops and resources, consolidating their control over vast territories. The Roman emperors, often ruthless and tyrannical, understood the need to maintain a strong grip on power, using propaganda, fear, and even assassination to eliminate rivals and maintain their authority. The empire's success rested on a complex system of governance, a network of loyal administrators, and a pervasive culture of obedience. The Romans understood that control was not merely about military power. It was about shaping the minds and hearts of their subjects, instilling in them a sense of loyalty and duty. Their legal system, their architecture, their art, all served to reinforce their authority and legitimize their rule. The Roman example demonstrates that the pursuit of control requires a multifaceted approach, a willingness to use both carrot and stick, and a deep understanding of human nature. But even the mighty Roman Empire eventually crumbled, a reminder that control is never absolute, and that even the most carefully laid plans can be undone by unforeseen circumstances. The history of warfare offers countless examples of the pursuit of control, each battle a microcosm of the larger struggle for dominance. Consider the strategies employed by Alexander the Great, a brilliant military commander who conquered vast territories with a relatively small army. Alexander understood the importance of intelligence gathering, scouting enemy positions, and identifying their weaknesses. He used deception and surprise to outmaneuver his opponents, exploiting their vulnerabilities and disrupting their plans. His battles were not simply about brute force. They were about strategic positioning, calculated risk-taking, and the application of superior tactics. Alexander understood the psychology of warfare, the importance of morale, and the need to inspire his troops to fight with courage and determination. He led from the front, exposing himself to danger and sharing the hardships of his soldiers. His victories were not simply the result of superior weaponry or numbers. They were the result of his ability to control the battlefield, to anticipate his opponent's moves, and to exploit their mistakes. Alexander's campaigns demonstrate that control in warfare is not merely about physical dominance. It is about mental superiority, the ability to think strategically, and the willingness to take calculated risks. But even Alexander's empire eventually fragmented, a reminder that control is fleeting, and that even the most brilliant strategists can be undone by their own ambitions. The drive for control is deeply rooted in human psychology, a fundamental desire for security, predictability, and influence. People seek control over their lives, their environments, and their relationships. This desire can manifest in a variety of ways, from meticulous planning and organization to aggressive manipulation and domination. Some individuals seek control through knowledge, believing that understanding the world around them will allow them to predict and influence events. Others seek control through power,